bunch of crap about you're cheaping out on my setup. I didn't really think that I had sacrificed anything with this rod, but I wanted to figure out if I had. The engineer in me came out and we've put together a 3-weight shootout. Let's meet the rods in the shootout. Rod number 1, we have El Cheapo. It's the Maxcatch Extreme. It weighs 3.3 ounces. It's 8 feet 4 inches long and it sells for $35. I've been wanting a 3-weight for a while and I really didn't want something super expensive because I wasn't sure how much I was going to be able to use the 3-weight, and the time of year when I thought it would be kind of perfect is like the snow runoff season, which number 1 is a very short season, and number 2, during that time I really need to be getting ready for like prime time bigger river fishing. So I should be practicing my 5-weight casting, my 6-weight casting, and I should be tying up a ton of dry flies. So not the best time to find another hobby to add, but I wanted to do it. And this rod actually had really good reviews, and it was only $35. And I figured, you know, if I love it and it's a terrible rod, I can upgrade. And if I don't end up getting out there very much, then I didn't waste a ton of money. So for, what is that? For $62, I had this 3-weight setup, this rod and reel. I ended up doing some pond fishing with it and caught some panfish, caught some perch and some bluegill. I actually took it in the kayak and I caught a baby largemouth on it from the kayak, which was really fun. And then caught some pumpkin seed. And I probably caught a chub or 2. But it was a blast. It was a riot to fish with. Just 3-weights are fun, you know, that light tackle is just really fun. The next rod we have in the shootout is a TFO Lefty Cray Pro 2. It weighs 2.6 ounces and it is 7 feet 6 inches long, and it costs $169. The last rod in the shootout is the Hardy Zephrus. It's impressively light at 2.4 ounces. It is 8 feet long, and it kind of breaks the bank a little bit with an MSRP of $649. There's a little asterisk there because it is a discontinued model, so you can't buy it new at the $649 price figure. If you want this rod, I found one last week, very similar to like 8 feet or 8'4", on eBay for like $400. Okay, so those were the rods, and now for the casters. The people casting in this shootout are going to be me and my dad.
To the right.
Way right, like embarrassingly far right.
I'm not camera shy. I'll do bad fly casting with or without a camera.
We're not professional fly casters, be very clear about that. We do fly fishing as a hobby. We've been fly fishing, both of us, for about 15 years. My dad's been very regular about it every year. I probably took a couple of years off in there for school and stuff, didn't do as much of it. But now we pretty much, we go out as much as we can. So we've met the rods, we've met the shooters. What are the rules of the shootout? So we're going to measure a couple different things, but the first one is going to be accuracy. So my dad and I are both going to cast each rod the same number of times from 3 different distances, and we're going to be trying to land a fly on this target. 3 points are going to be scored for flies landing on the target, and 1 point is going to be scored for flies landing outside of the target but within the hula hoop. And no points are scored for flies landing outside the hula hoop. But is accuracy everything? I wanted a way to measure a rod's kind of backbone, I guess. I have these scenarios for me where I'm fly fishing and I'm fishing, you know, a foam line, and it looks beautiful and perfect, and it's a perfect pool just below a perfect riffle and everything looks great. And then I see a fish rising in the foam line on the opposite bank, and I'm nowhere near range for that, and I have this beautiful pool in front of me. So I should just stay and fish my pool, but I usually don't. I usually like hike up my waders and blow out my whole pool by just trudging across it, and then I make this like Hail Mary cast to the opposite bank. And for moments like those, I'm gonna dedicate the next portion of the shootout, and it's called the long shot. And we just wanted to measure how far we could cast these rods to kind of mimic those moments where, you know, you might just want a little oomph sometimes, a little bit of extra. And especially with lighter rods, especially with 3 weights, some of them just can't get there. Now, like any good experiment, we're going to implement some controls. Number 1 is going to be the reel. We're going to use the same reel on all the rods throughout the shootout. The reel we're going to use is this Sage Click 345 fly reel. And we're going to use the same fly line through the whole shootout. And it's going to be this fly line. It's Royal Wolf 3-weight floating line in a triangle taper. It's an ivory color. Another variable that we considered was the potential for the order of our casting to impact the results. To try and eliminate that variable, we actually repeated the shootout 2 days in a row, and we mixed the order in which we casted the rods. Another variable, we were casting outside, so wind was a variable. It wasn't super windy the days that we were out there, so I don't think it had a huge impact. The last variable that we had considered was temperature. It was in the 30s for both days of the shootout, which I don't think it impacted much. I think the only thing that it might have had an effect on was the line, especially for the long shot portion of the shootout. Once we just got like way into the fly line, like 50 yards in, we started having some memory loops, and they were just hard to stretch out because the line was cold. Okay, so we've met the rods, the shooters, the rules, how we're going to score points, and the controls. So are you ready for the results? If you're looking for laser accuracy in the sneakiest of streams and the smallest of rivers, then break out the credit card, because Hardy dominated the near range accuracy portion of the shootout. At 25 feet, both shooters on both days scored the most points with the Hardy Zephrus. It was very impressive at near range. But if you're ready to click away and mope about how you can't afford the best rod we had in the shootout, just wait 1 second, because there's more to the story. When we took a few steps further back from the target, the Hardy accuracy actually dropped off pretty quick. And Maxcatch won from 30 feet. So 30 feet from the target, Maxcatch came in first. Now when we went back all the way to 40 feet, Hardy continued to drop. Maxcatch kind of went past its sweet spot, and the TFO won from 40 feet. So each rod kind of had a distance where they reigned. When we combined all 3 scores from all 3 of the distances tested, it was very close. The winner by 1 point was Hardy. So Hardy Zephrus, the most expensive rod, ended up winning the accuracy portion of the shootout. In the long shot portion of the shootout, the Maxcatch was the clear winner, and it was not even close. On average, the casts with the Maxcatch were 7 feet longer than either of the other rods. TFO and Hardy were only separated by a couple inches on average, but it was TFO that came out ahead of Hardy. So Hardy, the lightest rod, kind of as expected, had the shortest on average long shot, and the Maxcatch being the heaviest and the longest one. So how do we declare an overall winner for the shootout? For a kind of coins breakdown, Hardy gets the top prize for accuracy, 3 coins, Maxcatch gets 2, TFO gets 1. From long shot, the Maxcatch gets 3, the TFO gets 2, and the Hardy gets 1. And that gives us an overall winner from the 3-weight shootout as the Maxcatch Extreme. This rod right here, $35 in a shootout, beat out Hardy, beat out TFO. I can't believe it. It's awesome. And I don't regret this $35 at all. So my dad and I did debrief a little bit about the results. The Maxcatch was the longest and the heaviest, which definitely helped it in the long shot portion of the shootout. And we also both commented that with the Hardy, we felt like we reached a point in the cast of diminishing returns. We just kind of hit a wall where the line wasn't shooting out like we would expect it to. And it's probably because it's so ultra light. It's so light. We really wanted to try casting it with a 2-weight line to see if we could get that extra distance, but we had set the line as the control in the experiment, so we didn't do it as part of the video. So to wrap this up, if you're taking heat from your friends about cheaping out on your fly rod setup, then challenge them to a shootout. It was really fun, and we found that cost didn't matter that much. If you thought this was a cool shootout, then please drop a comment below. If you thought it was cool or ridiculous, or you want us to try out another rod. My dad and I have been smack talking each other's 5 weights about whose is better, so maybe that'll be next. But you know, if you're hesitating about buying an inexpensive rod, maybe you should just do it, because you never know, it might beat out a rod 18 times its cost in a shootout.